Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. We're doing another R&R video today where I review and rate all the different games I've been playing in the past 2 weeks with friends, family, and even solo. This week I've got 9 games I'm going to talk to you about. Well, 8 games and 1 expansion. I don't talk about expansions a lot, but I figure I'll talk about one here today. And I'm going to do them pretty quickly. Try to do it in about a minute or so each. If it goes a little bit longer, well. If it goes a little bit shorter, oh well. If it goes shorter, it's probably not a good thing. But let's just jump right into our games for this week. Starting out with our first game of the week, this is Archaeology The New Expedition. This is one that I don't believe I've ever reviewed or rated on this channel. I've talked about it on different things. It's made top 10 lists and stuff like that. It's a small push your luck game by Philip Walker Harding. Very nice game. This is, like I said, push your luck. You're collecting sets of different things, different archaeological artifacts, such as pots and stuff like that you're gathering up, and then you get to look at them and say you have 4 of them and it's worth 10, but if you get 5 of them, it's worth 15, 20 points. At any time on your turn, you could sell them to the museum and get the points for however big your set is of those. Or you can push your luck and try and wait for maybe trying to get some more of them. But the thing is, there are different things that are going to steal cards from you. There are sandstorms that will make you lose half the cards in your hand. There are thieves where other players can take cards from you. So you have to sell at the right exact moment to try and get the most points. So you're going to go through the entire deck until all the cards are gone, and then whoever's got the most points from selling to the museum wins the game. This is a great little card game that I've played many times. It still hits the table pretty frequently, like every couple months. And I wasn't sure if I've reviewed this or not, so I was like, well, I might as well talk about it again. It's a favorite card game of mine. It gets a 7.5 rating, which says a lot for such a small card game. It's one that I enjoy. It's one that's going to stay in my collection forever, probably. It's a great little card game, one that I highly recommend. So 7.5 for Archaeology The New Expedition. Going to our next game of the week. This is a very popular game. This is Kingsburg. Kingsburg is a dice worker placement game, and I love me some dice worker placement games. And I got to play this for the first time ever the other day. It's been one that it's been on my want list for quite a long time, and I only got to play it once, so this is just an initial feeling for myself. And in Kingsburg, you're going to get dice, you're going to roll them. And there is this entire big board for the community, and you are going to place dice on certain spots. Whatever the number 2 dice can go to the 2, the 3 dice can go to 3, and so on and so forth. Or you can take all of your dice and say 5 and a 2 and put it on the 7. Or you can put all 3 of your dice. Say they all add up to 14. Go up and put them all on the 14. The higher you place these dice, the bigger, better rewards are. But there's a catch. If you put them all up there, you're only getting 1 reward, compared to if you go on the bottom and you only use 1 for each, you might end up getting 3 rewards. So it's kind of this balance of what do you want to do, and there's going to be people taking your spots as well, but you're going to be getting resources. The rest of the game's kind of like your typical resource management game. You're going to use these resources to buy actual buildings, and these buildings will also give you different special abilities and help you thwart off attacks from the incoming wave of whatever they are that it's attacking you. So you want to have enough defense to thwart the waves of bad guys. I'm going to give this game a 7 rating. This is an okay game, a little bit, but I just played the base game. I want to say that there's modules, and I never touched that. So my initial rating is just a 7 without all the extra stuff that you can add on to. I really liked the track, the deciding whether you want to put all your dice together or some of them to getting those better rewards, or just taking individual slots up. So I like that part, but the resource management is just it just felt like a lot of other games to me. So yeah, it's getting a 7. Good rating, good game. It doesn't stick out crazy for me though. So, but it gets a 7. So positive rating for me. Going to our third game this week, number 3 is Celtus. Now Celtus is a lot like, takes a game that's very popular, Lost Cities, which is a very popular Reiner Knizia 2-player card game, and it takes that and makes it a basically 4-player game. But you are going to be taking cards and laying them down on certain tracks. But you have to lay your cards down in either ascending or descending order. So if you lay a 10, the next card has to be 10 or lower. So you could put an 8, or you could jump to like a 3, but that's going to cut off a lot of numbers for you for that track. So you're going to be moving along these 4, I think there's 4 tracks, and the further along you get, the more points you'll get. But if you start a track and you end up going only 1 or 2 spots, you're going to get negative points. So if you start a track, you want to continue moving along that track. It's very, very similar to Lost Cities, but it adds some things. It adds some complexity, because on that track, there are going to be certain tiles. If you land on those spots, they'll give you bonuses. They'll give you extra jumps on other spaces. They'll give you eggs, which will be kind of the set collection thing. The more you have, the more points you'll get. They'll give you just straight up victory points. So this is an older game, but I'd never gotten to play it, and I got to play it a couple weeks ago, and we played it, I think, 3 times. It's very fast, and very much like Lost Cities. I like this better than Lost Cities. I think this is replacing Lost Cities for me, because it adds a little bit more. Also, it adds player count. And we played with 3 players, and it worked perfectly fine. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I think this is going to replace Lost Cities for me. So it's going to get a 7.5 rating from me. It replaces a really good card game, in my opinion, even though this is an older one. But I haven't gotten a chance to play it before now. So yes, Celtus gets a 7.5 rating from me. Going to our next game. Our next game is a newer game on this list. This is Archravels, which is basically a yarn game. You are going to be collecting pieces of yarn, different colored yarn, in order to build these different things like scarves and mittens and stuff like that. And then you're going to turn those into bigger projects and get points for them. And that's basically all this game is just a very simple, straightforward set collection game with a yarn theme on it. You're going to be collecting your different yarn colors. You're going to be spending them to build mittens and stuff like that. And you're going to spend those to get higher projects done, which are going to be worth extra points. This is a fine game. It gets a 6.5 rating from me. I don't think it does anything new or special, but it just gives this kind of set collection game a kind of a cute little theme to it. It looks nice on the table. It's a very welcoming game. So nothing great, nothing bad though. It's just what it is. So Archravels gets a 6.5. Going to number 5. Number 5 is actually just a expansion. This is a very popular expansion to a very popular game. This is Dune Imperium Rise of Ix. Now, I won't talk about the main game, but the expansion adds dreadnoughts. And dreadnoughts are going to be worth 3, rather than your cubes in the original game are worth 2 in the battles. Your dreadnoughts are going to be worth 3, and if one particular character, they're worth 4. It also adds an overlay on top of the board, and it also adds a little small sideboard. And the one overlay will have a track that you're going to be moving up on, and you can either move up. If you go to these spots, you can either move up those tracks, or you can take off your cube on these tracks and gain the rewards of wherever you are on those tracks. And so I like that. I like the new spots that it adds. And on the other spot, the other board on the side, it adds these new tiles that will give you certain special abilities. Some are one-time abilities, some of them are ongoing effects. I really like what this expansion adds. It gets an 8.5 rating from me. It's one that is just going to stay in my Dune Imperium box, because it's very simple, which I love expansions that are simple. It doesn't add a ton of more explanation. It just fixes some things, in my opinion. It makes some spots not as powerful as they once were. So before, everybody knew that this one spot was the best spot. Now there's a couple spots, everybody's vying for those spots, kind of. So I enjoy that. And one thing that does add is add 6 new characters, which is a huge bonus for me. So yeah, I really liked it. I loved it. enjoyed the simplicity of adding this to the base game. So yeah, 8.5. Going to our next game. Our next game is a game that was designed locally here in North Dakota, and that is Cultivate. I think it's North Dakota. It might be like North Dakota and Minnesota, kind of. And there's not a bunch of designers in this area. So when this game came out, I was really excited that it was coming from my neck of the woods. So Cultivate is you are playing as a cult leader and you are trying to recruit different followers. It's a very, very simple game. You are going to be collecting these cards that you're going to play, and you get to take those certain followers, and you're going to be putting those followers on your board in each column, going from top to bottom, trying to fill the entire board. All the followers are worth different types of points. You also want your followers in certain different formations, depending on their color and all this other stuff. And you're going to get special abilities if you fill up one column. Very simple game, very fast. We played a couple 3-player games of this, and I think it took a half an hour, and that's with the explanation of it. So fast game. It's going to get a 6.5 for me. It's a regular, old-fashioned, very average game. But it's got a theme that's not around. Cults is not in very many themes, even though the theme doesn't necessarily pop out that much. But yeah, it gets a 6.5 rating. Pretty decent game. I'm pretty happy that it came from North Dakota. Going to our next game. Our next game is Tiny Epic Galaxies Blast Off, which is the newest edition of Tiny Epic Galaxies. And what I hear is it's streamlined Tiny Epic Galaxies a little bit. I hear that it's pretty similar to the regular. I've never played the original. I've just played Blast Off. And in this game, you are going to have rocket ships, and you are going to send rocket ships out to different planets that are out there, and you can either land on the planet, getting those one-time ability, or you can go on the track to try and gain that planet into your little tableau area. And each planet is going to give you certain victory points. They're also going to give you special abilities that you can use, and you are going to be moving up on your own board by using this galaxy action. And if the further up on your own board that you move this certain little rectangle piece, you're going to unlock more and more abilities, or you're going to unlock more dice that you get to roll. You're going to earn more rocket ships that you can use on your turn. And this is it's a dice allocation game, so you're going to be rolling the dice and doing whatever actions those dice will use. Or you can re-roll those dice by using energy. You're going to have energy and culture as your resources in this game, and you can spend your energy to re-roll those dice. So I really like that. And there's also this follow action. You can spend a culture to follow another person's action if it's something that really benefits yourself. I enjoy this game quite a bit. I'm not a huge fan of Tiny Epic games, really. They're okay at best. Well, I mean, there's a couple that are good, and then there's a couple that I really don't like at all. This is one of my favorites, but it gets a 7 rating. So I like it quite a bit, but it's not like upper echelon of games. It gets a good rating. So 7, Tiny Epic Galaxies Blast Off. I'm excited to show this to other people, and you should try it if you enjoy the Tiny Epic games. So let's go to our next game. Our 8th game of this week is It's a Wonderful Kingdom. Now, this is a sequel to It's a Wonderful World. And It's a Wonderful World is one of my favorite games. I love the engine building of It's a Wonderful World. And this is the sequel to it. And this turns It's a Wonderful World into a 2-player, I cut, you choose sort of game. And I backed this on Kickstarter. I went all in on this one. This was one of my most anticipated games of this year. I was very excited to receive this. And it comes with a ton of different modules. And in this game, you are, unlike the original, like I said, it's a 2-player game, you are going to put 2 cards out, and you are going to either put it on their side of the board, my side of the board. They're 2 different sections, and you can split those up. Some cards you can put face down. The other player then is going to choose one side of those cards. They're either going to take this section of the cards or this section, which depending on which cards they put. And there are going to be bad cards that do bad things to you. So it's kind of a crapshoot of what you're going to get if it's face down. So you're trying to trick your opponent into taking bad cards or just forcing them into it almost. And this and everything else is kind of the same. You know, you're building engines, you're getting cubes to build certain cards, which then you get to put on your tableau builder. And the more cards you have, the more cubes you're going to build during the construction phase of things, and they're the production phase. Man, I did not like this game. I might just be comparing it to the original. I don't like this game compared to the original at all. This gets a 6 rating from me. I played this game like 2 months ago when I first got it, and I played it a couple times. I played it a couple times multiplayer. I played it one time solo. I didn't enjoy the solo mode, and I didn't enjoy the multiplayer game, which the other person didn't enjoy the multiplayer game either. And they're huge. We're both big It's a Wonderful World fans, so this was pretty disappointing. I thought maybe I'll come back to this game and try it out, which I probably will eventually. But it just, after those 3 plays of it, I haven't wanted to go and try out any of the other modules yet. So I figured might as well put my review out on it. And if I get a different opinion in the future, maybe I'll come back and I'll revisit it. But right now, it's just not one that excites me. Gets a 6 rating, uh, and maybe it should go lower for how much I feel. But I feel like I'm judging it too hard because I'm comparing it to a game that I adore. So yeah, It's a Wonderful Kingdom gets a 6 rating from me. Going to our last game of this week, and it's an older game, but it's one that I'd never gotten to play before last week when I bought it. This is Legendary Encounters, an alien deck building game, or whatever the super long title is of this. But it's basically Aliens, the board game, in a card game format. It comes in, there's 4 different scenarios in the original box. It goes through every single movie. You can play every single movie as it happens in the movie. In this game, you are going to be building your deck, which is very similar to pretty much every deck building game. The deck building isn't that interesting, but like you're going to get star points, which lets you buy new cards to put into your tableau, or you're going to get cards that will attack, which is that is how you're going to fight these aliens. These aliens are going to be on this top board, and they're going to be sliding over 1 card at a time each turn. And if it gets to the far left, then it comes all the way down into the complex, and that's when the aliens can start attacking you. But you can reveal them as the cards are going across, because they're face down. So you can reveal them by spending attack points to reveal them and seeing what's up there, and you can attack them. Different things are going to occur. There's going to be events, there's going to be hazards, which will do different bad things to you, preventing you from doing things, attacking you, getting different strikes. If you cannot kill an alien that is in the complex area, and at the end of your turn it's going to attack you, and you're going to pull these strike cards, which is going to be damages. And there's going to be different types of damages. You could be lucky and pull a 0 damage, or you could be very unlucky and pull like a 5 damage. And each character has a certain amount of health points, in between like 8 and 12 or whatever it is. This was fun. This was a fun experience. I played this game solo, then I brought it to my game group, and we ended up playing it 2 more times as multiplayer game. It's a very hard game to win. We did manage to win one of them. And I enjoyed this game. It's going to get a 7.5 rating from me, and the only reason it doesn't go higher is because this is a mess of a game to organize. I bought this game used at a used board game store. It's been one that I've been wanting to try out, and it was not organized when I bought it. And so it took me like 2 hours to organize this game. This is a big setup. This is a big setup. This is a big organization. So if you own this game, do not drop it, because it's going to take forever to reorganize that. So 7.5 rating, it's a good rating for me. It's a good game, one that I'm excited to explore more into. And that will be every game for this week, all 9 of them. Just let me know in the comments below what you think some of these games, whether you've played them or you want to play them, or maybe you think I'm wrong about some of my ratings for these games. Either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care, everyone.